Hi, we'd like to welcome you to this session on women in cybersecurity. My name is Carol Gonzales. I am the CISO here at Cal Poly Pomona.
And I am Kudu, the ISO at Cal State Long Beach. Welcome, everyone. Today, we will be covering a few of the topics. We'll give a brief introduction of who we are and our background and the decisions that, help us jumpstart our career in cybersecurity and some of the actions that we have taken, to prepare a lifelong career in cybersecurity. And we'll share our own experiences with some of the challenges that we overcome and then the opportunities that we discovered along the way. And then we will wrap up with some of our tips and advice. And then there is a page of resources and references for you to explore on your own time. First, again, my name is Kudu, and I'm the Information Security Officer for Cal State Long Beach. I have about over 20 plus years of experience in governance, risk management, and compliance, with a focus in obviously information security, privacy, and at the beach here is what we are known as. I am responsible for maturing our campus's information security and privacy programs and oversee awareness and education, compliance, risk, strategies, and I do have a security team that also helps deliver campus-wide, like endpoint protection, data loss prevention, threat and vulnerability management, and the many others. But prior to coming to the beach, I have worked in private industries such as automotive, financial services, healthcare, and consulting services as well. I did obtain my Bachelor of Science at Cal State LA, go Eagles, and I do have my master's from Pepperdine University. So, Carol, I'll let you introduce yourself and your background.
Hi, I'm Carol Gonzales. I am a proud Cal Poly Pomona alumni. I got my master's in my undergrad here at Cal Poly Pomona, and I have my doctorate from CGU, Claremont Graduate University. I have nearly 25 years experience here at Cal Poly Pomona, and I also worked in private industry like Ku, but we like to give back, and so that's why we chose a career in higher education. I've worked in financial services, and I've also worked in other private, or I'm sorry, public entities as well. But we both choose to give back here in higher education. I have worked service desk, I've worked project management, as well as here in security and compliance. Here at Cal Poly Pomona, I am the information security officer. I also have a compliance unit. So we work in information and security compliance. So we do all things compliance with privacy as well as information security. We also ensure access for people with disabilities here at Cal Poly Pomona. So I want to talk a little bit about the forecast for cybersecurity jobs. A lot of people ask, like, well, is there really still going to be jobs around? How long is this demand in cybersecurity? We hear about, a drop in jobs in technology, and we just wanted to just take a moment to talk about that for a second. There is still forecasted to be an ongoing steady demand for cybersecurity professionals, and they want diverse teams. They want people that represent a wide variety of backgrounds. A lot of people think, well, gosh, do I have to be a bid head? Do I have to be on a team that is, in cyber competitions? Do I have to have a certain education or background? Employers are looking for a variety of experience, and the more diverse their teams are, the better. And Ku, I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to add here.
Yes, thank you. I do, Carol. And just to tag on to what Carol is talking about and with diversity, I think that, I mean, one of my first job, and I had no idea that I wanted to go into cybersecurity. I was an undeclared major, and I happened to stumble on security or information technology at the time. And I worked at the student lab, on campus at Cal State LA. And that's kind of where my beginning took place. And back to just obtaining that experience, you never know where your beginning is, but you just need to be open mind about it. So even if you didn't have a traditional career path or a traditional education, like if you didn't start out with computer science or computer information systems or cybersecurity, or if you're a psychology major or something like that, there will always be opportunities for you to intersect the skills that you've obtained and learn through your academics and apply that to your work. And that's where that diversity is. It isn't just about, race, gender, but it's also about your own experiences that you have gathered through along the way, and you may not know it in the beginning that I really want to be in cybersecurity or in tech, but something might trigger in what you learn and what you're currently do that may heighten that awareness and interest, and it may become a passion down the road. So be, open for that learning.
Yeah, you'll often hear people talk about I was a biologist or I was a math major or I was a psychologist. And then they stumbled into working with computers and cybersecurity. They're really when we talk about, diversity, we're really looking for teams that bring a diversity, a neurodiversity of thought and thinking differences and approaching problems from a different perspective. And that's really what we're talking about. And there's a multitude of career paths and transition opportunities. When people like for university, they're thinking of that traditional student coming right out of high school. That is not the case anymore, if that is what you're thinking about. So we invite you to go to cyberseek.org. It is on our reference page, our resource page, and look at all the different career pathways there are in cyber in general, right? And all the different ways that you can approach it. I have students I teach part-time, and I see students coming from all different career paths and backgrounds. It's second careers, third careers, and don't close your mind to the opportunities and chances, because we're really looking for people from all different roads, truly. And cyber positions are at every company and industry. You might be in, facilities, in energy, in car manufacturing, you name it. Higher education in our case, right? Financial services, um, all different things. And each is looking for a unique set of skills, experience, and education. And in some cases, that presents challenges and opportunities. And you might think, well, what do you mean by challenges, right? There's just a huge degree of choices, right? And a lot of people think, well, there's only one right way and one path and one road to that career. There is a lot of different roads and career choices. And so don't lock yourself in. We see a lot of people in our jobs in higher education, and people think there's only one way and I'm only going to apply for that one job. Don't close your mind, right? Check it all out, right? That's the beauty. We look back on our career and we go, gosh, if we had known, we would have applied for all of it and we would have tried everything, right? Why not, right? And so please don't close your mind, and ask all the questions and take all the possibilities, and don't close your mind off to it. And Ku, did you have anything to add?
Just one more thing. I think the beauty of security or any tech, type of career path is that you do have a lot of options. If you just need to decide where to start and go with it and try it out. And if you don't like it, change. You're not stuck, and you don't feel like you're behind the times. Oh, I didn't start 5 years ago, so now I'm really behind. No, the field and the career is evolving so quickly that you have to adapt, to the changing landscape. risk is always changing. It's never stale. It's a living thing. So you need to be that living thing and adapt to your own environment and experiences. I had difficulty, really picking an area of focus when I was in, my undergrad because I was young and naive and I wanted to do everything because I said I could, but in reality, you cannot. You need to start somewhere, but it's your indecision that is going to be difficult and that's going to be more challenging. And by being indecisive, you're not allowing yourself that opportunity. So start somewhere and explore. And if you like it, stick with it. If you don't, change. You have that options and you have to realize that you are not stuck. Um, and there's people that will help you figure things out too.
Yep. It's just like banking, right? You got to put your money down some point and you can always change that account at any time. Absolutely. And it's a misconception that jobs are guaranteed if you have a college degree or a certification or attend a boot camp or, if you check that box and you have an automatic job, nothing is guaranteed, right? It's a fact that it takes an average college graduate 3 to 6 months to secure a job after employment. Everything takes planning and preparation, right? And it's more important now than ever to get that competitive edge that you plan and prepare. If you want a certain kind of job or experience, then go in and check out that company or that position. For example, my son wanted a job, a certain bio job, and he went and interviewed people in that position in certain hospitals and he met with them. You could do the same thing in cybersecurity. Go meet with people, go to conferences. We both are in ISACA, Los Angeles chapter. Come join us at a meeting. You will meet people in all different kinds of industries, all different kinds of positions, and rotate tables. Talk to people, introduce yourself. We love students and we love people that are interested in the career. We get a kick out of it because that's how we got our start as well. And talk to people about what they like, what they don't like, what they would do different. Nobody will be offended and be more than happy to provide that advice for you. And that's the purpose of our presentation today, is to share our thoughts on career pathways, relevant skills and experiences that will make you valuable to organizations. So, Ku, do you want to kick us off on this slide?
Sure. Thank you, Carol. Let's see. Education, I think I mentioned I've got my bachelor in computer information systems. I think I've been really lucky and that I've actually get to work in the career that I actually studied, and I was much more business oriented. I was not a coder. I didn't enjoy programming as much. I think the database probably course turned me off. So, um, but let's see. The skills that I've, you know, defined for myself was I think it's more about wanting to learn and having that curiosity, like the innate curiosity there on the bullet point, that I was so curious about how things work. I wanted to pull things apart. I wanted to know the why, not just the how. Um, so I think that really helped me narrow down or clarify what it is that I really wanted to do. I started out in information technology, and that was a huge umbrella, right? And information security was a portion of that, maybe one little arm, of that umbrella. But as you can see, it has evolved into its own umbrella now, and it has so many branches. And so what one thing can lead to another is very fascinating. And I feel very blessed, to have those opportunity. But I stuck to it. There were definitely times where I said, "Oh man, this is not for me. I don't know. This is too technical." or I want to do something more fun and more creative. This is too structured. There will be times when you doubt yourself and you have these voices that tells you can't do. But be confident and continue that lifelong, process, and think of it as long term rather than a quick win. You will have your quick wins, but having a plan to say, where do I see myself even next year, 3 years, 5 years from now, and have targets and goals set. So that's how I actually work towards, like, oh, I want to get my certification. I want to be, um, you know, Cisco certified. Back then I had my CCNA and all that. And then I was like, well, that's not really where I want to go. Okay, I want to do security. So you kind of have to just explore and try different things. And what you obtain may it's still going to be really relevant and helpful because all the technical background that you're gaining by trying different things is going to apply. I promise you, everything intersects and everything can be relatable if you have a way to find that intersection. Carol?
So education, I was a computer science major because I didn't think anything else existed. I just went, well, God, that must be the only degree, computer. And I looked it up and science, that must be it. And then once I got enrolled, and then I was in another state with my dad and I wanted back to California. So I just looked for every university in California that would accept me. And that's how I ended up at Cal Poly Pomona, to be honest with you. And you can tell I am committed, and you won't find a bigger Bronco than me for sure. But computer science, and then after I was here a couple of years, I learned, about computer information systems. So I went total bithead, hardcore 1-0 binary suffrage, as you can only imagine, doing assembly language and all of that. But I am a very committed person, and I got that computer science degree with a math minor, if you can imagine all that calculus that it takes to do that. But later I went for my master's degree because I thought, well, I better soften myself up because that was really intense. And one thing that was really meaningful to me is I got a internship during my undergrad with IBM. Very, very fortunate to go work for IBM, and I met these incredibly bright people, and I'm going to really date myself. And the IBM personal computer had just come out, and I saw these extremely bright people that could not use a personal computer. They were mainframe people. And I thought, my gosh, if these bright people are struggling to use their personal computer, that's where I had really seen the need for helping people understand the end user piece of it. And that's where I started to transition more into the need of helping people use the usability of it. You could be the brightest person in the room, but if you can't use or make that technology, apply that technology to your work, to your business, then it really doesn't matter. You can have the best technology in the world, but if it can't apply to the business, then it's really meaningless. And that goes for security and compliance. If you can't get the business done, even making it the most compliant thing in the world, then they're going to vote you off the island because they will circumvent all of those controls. And that really goes into the skills and the people skills. And I really am a believer in people skills and helping users, and education as a result of that. And that's where a lot of that, my background comes from, and that passion. Innate curiosity just kind of comes with it. I really had to understand how it worked. And that's where that computer science degree comes in. And I value that every day. I joke about the ones and the zeros and doing my wire wrapping with my ECE classmates. But there's not a day that goes by that's not valuable to me. And people value me for that ability to have that innate curiosity and asking those questions. Sometimes those are the questions that they can't ask for themselves, that they're not brave enough. And that's really helpful as a risk and controls person, as an auditor. is asking those questions, trying to understand why something doesn't work as intended. And driven and just passionate. Sometimes people call me stubborn, and they might have another word for it, but really being passionate and trying to help the organization and to help our staff, help our students, helping the mission of the organization. Flexibility, being utility, being able to pivot quickly, because sometimes I'm not doing what I'm asked to do that day. I might be asked to do something different, or maybe I'm just called to do something different that day, right? You know, picking on higher education, right? If I see a student struggling in the parking lot, maybe risk and controls isn't important that day. Maybe it's just helping that person in the parking lot that's important that day, right? And you just have to be flexible. And it's all about being part of the team. Nobody can stand alone in an organization, and your leadership will always value that when they see that you're there to contribute, truly. So our tips and advice and kind of helping pull all of this together. And Ku, I'm going to ask you to kick this off because I know this first one is super important to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Carol. I think that we both are on the same wavelength here in terms of being a lifelong learner, is being open to new experiences and even current ones that we assume we know. And that assumption is going to kill you because you need to really, as you know, Carol mentioned, pivot and change and adapt, you know, to the environment that you are in. By being a lifelong learner opens up your a different perspective. Oh, I didn't know that you could solve this, you know, this problem this way, or I didn't know that I should use this tool versus the other tool, or this process that I wasn't aware of. So that's kind of how I feel about being a lifelong learner. I wanted to be educated. I was taught very early the importance of education, and I know some people say, "Oh, no, it's not that important." But I think it is, you know, and we live in a society in which education is available for us. And the beauty of being in the CSU is that it is affordable, you know, and there is help if we needed that financial help. But don't forget the importance of being a lifelong learner, whether it is to be taking a class or just the everyday experience that you see, that you know that happens to you, and embrace those moments.
And just like Ku said, we're learning from each other every single day. I have a beautiful group of colleagues that I work with every day, whether it's at Cal Poly Pomona or the beach, or my brothers and sisters in the CSU or higher ed, and or ISACA. I have been with my colleagues with ISACA for many years, and I'm just very fortunate to know that I can call them at any time, and just I don't have to know it all. And I think that's one of the fears in cybersecurity is this feeling that we have to know it all and all by ourselves, and you don't.
Yeah.
And that goes into the next one: share what you learn and pay it forward. People are willing to share with me. We are open to share with you and with others, right? And it's so important to embrace that every day.
And I'd like to add is that by sharing knowledge, you're reconfirming what you know, and it helps improve, you know, your understanding and your relationship as well, you know, with others. um, you know, you hear about, you know, the hackers, you know, they're very free and open and sharing about things. So for us, we should do the same. You know, we should learn from them in that sense that yes, knowledge is power, and then that means I should keep it all to myself because I want that power and I want that influence. But that it doesn't work that way. At least I don't believe in it. I believe in the power of sharing it, because the more I share, the more people know, the more it makes my job easier. I look at it that way. instead of like keeping everything to myself and not educating others, now you have to now you have to do so much more, in terms of advocating for yourself. But if you willingly share, it is going to come back in tenfold, of benefits that you can derive from that. And there is such satisfaction in helping somebody get to the next level and see them succeed because you were a part of their learning and education.
Absolutely. And the next one is surround yourself by those who support you. Life is hard enough when you're by yourself. So make sure you surround yourself by others that are your cheerleaders, right? And we hear stories, I've heard stories of folks that saying, hey, my boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, fill in the blank, it doesn't believe in me, doesn't think I can do this, doesn't isn't supportive, you know, makes me walk uphill both ways, whatever it is, you know, go find those people that are going to be your cheerleaders that are going to support you because you're going to need it, right? When I got my doctorate, there were some hard days, right? Some a little bit of tears in the elevator, some late nights, and I know Ku's going through some of that right now. She's
I'm
on
laughing because I can relate and she knows what I'm going through. Yes.
right.
Thank you, Carol.
She is on her doctorate journey right now, and we're all embracing her right now because you have enough self
I'm
doubt in
dying.
life. Yeah,
It's like,
there's enough self doubt in the world, right? And we all need somebody to be part of that cheerleading squad for us, right? So go find those people, surround yourself with those folks, right? That will support you through your journey. Okay.
and all you have to do is to ask. Ask for help and reach out. You need to make that, you know, initial contact. Take the initiation and say, "Hey, can you sit down and I really want to talk to you. Do you have 5 minutes or whatever the time that you need?" Just start by asking. You'd be amazed. Everybody is very helpful and they want to help, but they don't know that you need the help unless you ask.
And sometimes you just have to tell them how to help too, 'cause sometimes we can
Yes,
be over helpful.
right.
So let them know, like, hey, I just need a phone call once a month, right? Sometimes I need you to stay away, stop texting me at midnight, whatever it is. And speaking of those that support you, find a mentor. Mentors are very special people. They're coaches in a very special way. They're career oriented, not like friends. They're very different. And mentors can be anyone. A lot of people think that they're your boss. No, your boss is a different relationship. They're related to your position. Mentors help guide you in your career, right? And your career can span different positions, multiple positions, right? Um, so find a mentor, and you can have multiple mentors in your career. You can have mentors for different goals in your career. And so find a mentor, and again, they can be anyone, right? And be open to who that mentor can be and have goals for your mentor. Don't go up to your mentor and say, will you be your mentor, and then expect them to do the work. You have to go to them. It's like a counselor kind of a way, but it's a career counselor. So you have to go to them with what your goals are. Like, hey, I want to be a CISO in 5 years, right? And here's where I am now, and what would be the best way to position myself? What are, what would I need to do to my education to position myself that way? Um, what kind of relationship should I have? Should I be building, right, to position myself for that kind of role? Those are the kinds of questions you would bring to a mentor.
I also like to add, and Carol is my mentor. I've met with her a lot of times, and I appreciate her sincerely. I know that at the beach, and this is for the students, that we do have mentorship program, and I've actually been a mentor for students in past semester as well. So look that up, and you can actually seek a mentor, and it's semester based. But anyone definitely can be a mentor. It doesn't have to be like this very formal relationship, but just the everyday people that you connect with and just say, "Hey, can I get your advice on something?" That's mentorship. So yeah.
And speaking of mentorship, and we're establish and maintain relationships. And again, it's different from friendships. We're talking about professional relationships. And I'll use ISACA as my example. I have relationships through ISACA that date back many, many years. And I know that I can call those people at any time and say, I've got a challenge, right? I think I might want to change positions. I think that I want to change trajectory. Would you review my resume? I want to update my LinkedIn profile. I've got a personal struggle with a coworker or with a peer or with, a colleague, whatever it is. And I know I can call them in a heartbeat. Or, hey, I need to step out for a few years because I've got this personal thing going on, but I want to step back in. How can I do that? Hey, I want to up my professional profile, my public profile. How can I do that? Right? Those are the types of things that I can rely on those colleagues for. Seek and embrace opportunities, no matter how minor. I know Ku's got a boatload of these stories. I mean,
I think that we touched upon that a lot in terms of even if you assume that what you're currently doing isn't, anything great or of value, think again. I share this example in which, one of a student assistant that I know of uh, was asked to, participate in a meeting, but the person needed to take notes, for the meeting, but the meeting was with executives, and the student didn't feel that that job was really accurate, or that it was at their level, because it was notes taking, that they went to school for this, so that kind of attitude is not going to carry you far, because you have to look beyond the immediate gratification that you think you're, getting. But you are among executives in this room where you actually have the opportunity that nobody else would have had in establishing relationship, with the executives, even if it's just a note taking, menial task to you. So that's why we say to seek and embrace the opportunities as they come to you, and think of it much more greater than the immediate task at hand, because you never know who you meet in that room that could give you that next job, or that you may establish a relationship that earn you the next position.
yeah, I know people that work service desk and they're remembered 20 years later. Oh my gosh, I remember that person. They worked the service desk, right? And I remember them being friendly. They need an opportunity. Yeah, let me get them an interview, right? Or taking notes. You don't know what you're taking notes on. You don't know what projects you're being exposed to. You don't know what terms you have an opportunity to learn. You don't know the faces in there. You might see them in an elevator, right? And you'll be able to strike up a conversation. Just never know, right, what those opportunities are. And that goes into be flexible and have a can-do attitude. Really try hard not to say no. Really try hard. My son shared an experience of a holiday party, and it wasn't at a convenient location. It was a very well-to-do location, and he was surprised. He was the only one who took up that opportunity to go to this holiday party with a lot of the senior leadership in his department. And coincidence or not, this year he was offered an opportunity to apply for this lead position, and the job description was written very favorably. Was it coincidence? I don't know, but he's able to apply, and he was able to get this lead position. So you never know.
And one last advice that we don't have in the bullet point there is to show humility. And, you know, we don't know everything. I admit I don't know everything. And going back to that being a lifelong learner, right? Um, so it's okay to admit that you don't know something rather than to skirt around and say, "Oh, yeah, I've done," and then people will know if you lie to them. It's not that easy or difficult, but just be honest and show humility. Your curiosity to learning is going to, help a long way.
Yeah, that's always a crack up. In our profession, that's even the funniest part, right? We all take ethics certifications. You have to sign ethics clauses in a lot of our positions, and you don't think we can tell liars? People who are stretching the truth, that's the funniest part of the whole thing. So just say, you know what? I don't know. I'm not sure. Let me look that up for you, and I'll get back to you right away. I'll get back to you in an hour, right? Here's what I do know, right? That's a very great way of handling that situation.
We always find that out during like interviews, where it's just tell us it's okay if you don't know something.
Right.
We're
Here's what I
human.
do know. Yeah, here's what I
Yeah.
do know. I'm not really knowledgeable about this topic, but here's the knowledge that I can apply. And that goes
Yeah.
back to, transferable knowledge, right?
Hmm. Great.
And then here's some resources and references. I kind of group them together. The ones on top, LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, get one together. If you're a minor, check with your parents, right? Depending on how young you are. But, high school is not too young not to have a LinkedIn profile. It can be very light. Volunteer opportunities are fine for a LinkedIn profile. That experience counts, right? It counted all, right? And profiles for the most part are public, so look around, check other people's profiles. We put a link in there on how to use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is beautiful. It has a lot of videos about how to use LinkedIn, right? So check that out. Reference cybersync.org. It is a great tool for, well, I think everybody, right? Students, job seekers, employers regarding careers, jobs, salaries, everything. You can get yourself lost in cybersync.org. So take a look. It talks about education and certifications and job experience that you need for the role and pathways for the role that you want, where the role that you're at, everything. It's a lot of fun. And by local region. Maybe you don't want to stay in California. Maybe you want to get to another state. Or maybe you're in some state here and you want to get to California or you want to get to Northern, whatever it is. Dream and have a great time doing it. And could you want to take the next section, our fun section?
I think we left these here for you to explore and check out on your own. Uh, for me, I think these movies and, books and really takes me back when I was younger and um, really jumpstart my curiosity in the world of uh, IT and maybe a little bit, spy kind of thing. I really, when I was younger, I wanted to work for NSA, but obviously that didn't work out, or I never got there. But I mean, it was very inspiring for me. And, if you need just a good laughter or even just to reflect, on your childhood or when you're a student, just look at how things have evolved, since, the 80s and even before that, right? And just examine the evolution, of our career and where it's going to take us in the next century, in the next 5 years, even with AI now, right? And so I be aware of the history of the beginnings and where it all started and how it evolves and where it's going to take you in the future. I think that having that mindset to understand the implications of what we do today is going to affect how the future would be.
Absolutely. These are some of the things that, sparked our curiosity. That was, a lot of fun. Some of it's a good giggle. Like the net is a crack up. It's Sandra Bullock goes to order a pizza and realizes basically her identity's been taken,
But
right?
don't
And then,
tell them, they have to
oh,
watch it.
sorry. Yeah. but it's all the comedy of Sandra Bullock, right? And the social dilemma, if you haven't watched that, it's talking about, you know, social media, right? And our data, right? And where's our data going, which is really all about our cyber fair this year, right? And the watchful eye, right? And metadata. So I think you'll really enjoy some of these things. And if you just want to binge watch and do something crazy and go, man, those people were nuts. The Cuckoo's Egg is a book, and obviously it's dated 89, but it's really just talking about this little minuscule problem. And this guy, and he's an astronomer. So talk about a guy who was never meant to be in cybersecurity. And this is before the term cybersecurity even existed. And he was asked to solve this accounting problem. I think it was tracing a quarter, right? And why they had this accounting error. And he ended up finding this espionage problem with the Russians. And this is a true story. That's the fascinating part about the book. And it's a true story of his tracing that through. And it all started with his department chair asking him to go find the quarter, you know, basically. And that's all everyday stuff. And the last two things are personal mentorship for me. One is Celestine Prophecy, and it's about, you know, we were talking about innate curiosity and what kind of drives us. And it's about these insights. And this historian is going on this journey, and what drives him through this journey. And what he's finding is really not the important part, but it's about these insights, right? And sometimes it's not what you find that's as important as what you is the message that you're receiving along the way, right? And that so I put the link in there to the Celestine Prophecy if you haven't heard about that. And then the Serenity Prayer, not from a religious perspective, but it's really a meditation, but it's really to accept what you cannot change, courage to change what you must or can alter, right? And the wisdom to know the difference. And that's really about our careers, right? There's some things that we had to accept along the way, but a lot of times it's really seeing a lot of what we could change and the courage to change it along the way with our career journeys. And so we definitely wish you well in your career journeys and the choices that you have along the way. And we know you have the courage to make all those great choices as you move forward. And if you have any questions, please contact us and we'll be more than happy to answer those questions. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.